Well, it is a pleasure to be here, and I should add that I really am from Diane's tribe. I'm a professor as well, so I really sympathize with a lot of the comments that she shared this morning about faculty attitudes and interest and where things are going. And those vary so much from institution to institution depending upon the size and the mission, if it's a research-intensive university, a community college, and such. But we do all come together in trying to understand this path to digital. And so I'm happy to be here. The phone call we had about a month ago where the conveners got a few of us on the phone, it was just like a bunch of people who'd been wandering around in the woods, and all of a sudden we'd found each other. So to the organizers, let me just give a big 2 thumbs up. I mean, this is fantastic. I think we've got about 7.5 pounds of content in a 6-pound sack today, and so I hope you're ready to listen fast. We'll use the term eText in our conversation this morning, but we really mean all things digital. Whether that's licensing an online exercise, it's multimedia, there's some content out there that we're paying for. We know with adaptive learning algorithms and things, the future is not only about the book moving digital, but it's about all things digital. And so I'll use eText for shorthand, but I really mean digital thingies, all of those things out there. We are 200% for open educational resources, where those help our faculty, we help support the development of them and such, and that's moving along at a good pace. You got $2 billion earmarked from the feds if they actually fund it over time, $500 million rolling out last year and hopefully this year, so good stuff there. Today, though, I'm principally talking about what we're working on around commercial models, and the open stuff can go in here right beside it, no problem, but that's our focus. So here's the big picture to understand where we're at and what we're doing. After Colorado this morning, I feel like we're newbies. We only started this in 2009, really, and you really got the jump on us with 2006. In December of 2008, our trustees endorsed a huge IT strategic plan, which is essentially summed up in go boil the ocean and here's a match, and get after it. One part of that was about the path to digital. So we had a lot of conversations with a lot of publishers, with a lot of folks. In early 2009, we stood up our first pilot test for our faculty. In fall of 2009, we're now 5 semesters through faculty touching and using our approach to digital, and that's all sorts of disciplines. I mean, that's Italian, it's French, it's astronomy, it's the business school, it's chemistry, all things. And this is across 8 campuses. So when you think of Indiana University, you may think about our recovering basketball team that is doing better after a few years of hiatus, but that's Bloomington. When we say Indiana University, we mean 6 regional campuses, Indianapolis with the med school, and Bloomington as well. About 110,000 students all in. In the process of moving along, Steve Jobs introduced the iPad to us and legitimized a whole new experience. We finally were ready to hit that RFP to go out to the publishers. We did that in February. It went to many of our good friends who I see are here. I'm a business school professor. I thought we had a negotiation. We would tidy this matter up and be done in you know, maybe April, hopefully March. Well, by September, we had all found generally some good terms we could work with. We announced 5 publishers in the inaugural deal in September, and this morning, we now have 6. This morning, we just announced Harvard Business Publishing has joined the eText initiative as well, which will be a big boon to our business school. Went live, moved out of pilot mode in January, and I'll talk more about that in a moment. As a business school guy, I look at industries. How does a whole industry work, from its suppliers and manufacturers through distributors to ultimate customers? And when you understand that in Michael Porter terms, you see why industries have the sustaining structure that they do. It's not because somebody's a bad actor or this or that. There are structural economic reasons that undergird the structure of an industry. And this one sucks. We need to figure out how to fix it. And the best thing we've got going for it right now is it's increasingly failing everyone. It is failing the students. Diane mentioned many of the frustrations of faculty around bundling deals and this, technology problems, access codes, device incompatibility, blah, blah, blah. Publishers are seeing cannibalization of their sales. Naughty things going on offshore. Digital. Students are frustrated. Authors are not getting paid for their legitimate work that they've been doing. Let's don't tinker around the edges of it. Let's work together and fix the root causes of the problems that vex all of us. So as you see here, this is my cycle of dysfunction of what's going on here. And the problem is the authors and the publishers who've invested their good time to make good stuff only get paid when it's new. As they price that up, the students seek more substitutes. They don't get paid. They make games of, revising the 18th edition of Rhetorical Studies to change in that swift-moving discipline, and mainly kill the used book market. The students seek substitutes that the 17th edition of Rhetorical Studies might work for them. And, we just got a bad thing going here. So let's see, what can we do? And then as you look to digital, I go to the Consumer Electronics Show every year to kind of the digital petting zoo. You see what's happening. And you just see this onslaught of consumer devices coming. And I'm like, holy crap, we have got to get the content model fixed for this several years ago. So that's what motivated us. Because look where we're headed, folks. It's like you remove students' choice that there are no substitutes. When it's an online exercise that the chemistry professor wants, and then maybe grading is integrated with that exercise, there are no substitutes. Students don't have choices to go to anything else, and so in a market with no substitutes, you can price at will. And so this was going to look really, really bad. It's a foreseeable problem. And if you think I'm just, crying, chicken here or something, look what's happening. Here's some real examples. Just went and grabbed them, into last semester, beginning of this one. So if we use the made-up price of retail, whatever that number means, and you look at the cost of what digital is, those are market offers. It's 70 and 75% of the price of retail. And many of those have ridiculous terms. The book goes poof. You can't print it. You can only use it on this device. This stuff's dysfunctional. And that is double the price students generally pay. If you look first year, second year, third year, on a 3-year adoption cycle, this is all debatable, but we've got our study, you've got yours. The net cost of ownership for a student, if you average across those 3 years, the numbers we're seeing are in the 30s. Of what buy a used book if you succeeded, sell a used book if you succeeded, your net cost of ownership is somewhere in the 30% range of this made-up number called list price. So if we're going to go to the students with a path to digital, I can't go to the students and say, hey, we have a worse offer for you and we're going to make you do it. That doesn't work, nor going to our faculty of saying, we have found the way and thou shalt. That is that's the end of a debate at our place. So we wanted to do something else. And do we have some lessons? So we're talking about digital here. Well, this isn't our first rodeo. We've been through this before. We've been through this with software. Concerns about piracy of software, access codes from Microsoft, etc. We knocked that one down for our campuses in 1998. We signed a path-breaking deal with Microsoft that essentially says, we will give you a large check and we get about all your stuff. And we can use all of it. Our poor kids who are in night classes, perhaps in Gary, Indiana, have all the same software that our rich kids driving Lexuses do, in Bloomington. And I can't publicly quote a number, but when I say relative to the best available educational pricing, what our students have consumed, it is in the hundreds of millions of dollars of cumulative savings over the years. I got the hard data and I can tell you. Well, we did another one. We chased Adobe for 7 years. 7, I can count them. 7 years trying to get an enterprise deal on their software. Let us buy it, we'll write you a check. We finally got the CFO and the CEO to overrule the vice president of national sales. That was not easy. And we got the deal. They were so nervous in cutting a wholesale big deal with us and how they go to market. They preferred to sell boxes at a time. But we got the deal. 3-year deal they could walk away from. 18 months into it, they renewed it for 2 more years with IU and are rolling it out to others. There are win-win solutions in the path to digital. So what did we do? We started out in 2009. Here are the objectives. These have not changed one word since 2009, same ones that I took to faculty council and others, talking to student groups. Across IU, we talked to anyone who would hold still and talk to us about these things. And so we said, here's what we're after. We want to make this stuff cost less, is on the path to digital. It's got to be the good stuff. If the good stuff is open access, great. If the good stuff comes from Pearson, we'd love to have that content. If it's from McGraw, if it's faculty, roll your own, the New York Times, The Economist, and here's something I wrote, whatever is the good stuff, we know some pretty cool things can happen as we go digital with social annotation and students having access to be able to, all of a sudden they have their book on the bus when the bus got stuck somewhere. And we weren't looking for one-trick ponies, not the flash in the pan one semester. I wanted to go after the root causes of this on the path to digital and straighten it out. So here's what we said. There's got to be a few principles here. Value creators, look, I'm a business school capitalist guy. Value creators need to get paid. Authors need to get paid for their work, use of their work. Publishers who do tons more work than people understand, they need to get paid. As you go into building online exercises and adaptive learning algorithms and such, that is capital intensive and very expensive. They need to get paid. So let's figure out a way to do it. So the deal is here, can we move the toll booth? Just like we did with Adobe, just like we did with Microsoft, though a little more focused, that, dear publisher, if you will reduce your price for the path to digital with terms that are at least as good as what students are doing now in a buy and sell back transaction, I will use our digital toll booth. If there's 40 students in Chemistry 101, we will pay you 40 times, guaranteed. And you know you're going to get paid. This was the deal. And the other thing is, in the absence of your institution making an intervention right now, you can deterministically expect that students walking onto your campus, if it's all left to faculty prerogative entirely, will need 3 or 4 different pieces of software to read 4 or 5 different books. And watch the phone light up on your support desk for that. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. Let's get ahead of the platform war as well. So what did we do? We had a lot of conversations. Took a couple years to kind of figure this stuff out. We also had the advantage of the platforms were maturing. The devices themselves were getting better. I mean, we saw the early stuff that came out with Kindle. I love sitting and reading with your Kindle. Not the best annotation tools for how students interact with a text. But that was getting better and better and better. So we decided to go contract directly with publishers who were willing to come into our RFP. We've had others come in since and just say, here's the deal. We will pay a required fee for every course, and it's just, this is all faculty choice though. I don't mind, you know, I told one of the publishers, I said, unleash the hounds. Have your sales reps go talk to everybody that they can, because that helps our faculty have informed choices. This is, if faculty want to opt in, great. Now, if they opt in, their whole class opted in. They're not creating an a la carte option, because a publisher has no credible economic reason to drop price if they're still in a probabilistic sales model. But if you go into a deterministic sales model that each content user, you're going to get paid for it, then you have a reason to drop your price substantially. And then we chose to license our e-reader annotation platform separately, because I personally, as a business guy, when you give 2 adjacent steps of your supply chain to the same owner, you have less leverage in the future. And so we wanted to have an independent mixing bowl and content or platform provider that is neutral. We can get content from various publishers. If our faculty want to write their own stuff, if I want a chapter from here and a this from that, to the extent that people are willing to sell, you know, unbundled stuff, then we can mix it together ourselves. I have a slide I'll show you in a moment. Our MBA students, their 1,200-page rolled-up reading pack with all this licensed content in it, we took $360 per student off the cost of that. in this last semester relative to what they paid the semester before. So how do you tell 110,000 students and 15,000 faculty and staff what you're doing? We created a website, eTexts.iu.edu. All things are there. Every question we've ever heard in faculty meetings from students, there's an FAQ, the deals, how do faculty know what the policies are? What if a student drops halfway through the semester? Do they get a refund? You know, we worked all that out. How do we bill through our, you know, Ornery PeopleSoft Oracle system, et cetera? All that stuff's worked out there. So the platform that we went for is with course load. They'll be speaking here a little bit later. It is device independent. I'm only going to hit a couple things here, and then Nick's going to be talking a little bit later. Nick has been the center of gravity in all the frustrations of rolling this out, and so he can talk about that. But reader annotation software, any device, really good stuff. Students love it. I mean, they look like kids that woke up on Christmas morning when they start working with it. As you can see, it does all the tricks you would expect, you know, full text search, navigation, annotation. Bobby's in my study group, but Susie's not pulling her weight. She's out of here. You know, you can do all of those things. And faculty really like being able to annotate and directly change the text for all their students, just to go out there and do it directly. Single sign-on, no codes, hooked into Sakai for us, hooks into whatever you got for others. So that was the platform we went with, device independent. It's HTML5. So any device that runs HTML5, you're there. On accessibility, Course Load has worked very closely with IU's Center for Adaptive Technology, which is a world-class university adaptive technology center. And look, this path to digital, this is a tough road. We're all working this real hard, but I got our experts in helping to ensure that our interests are taken care of there. So where are we at? One other thing I didn't mention, we, along this couple of years of having conversations with students and faculty, we came up with a good idea, good policy, that at the time a student enrolls, so for a January class, if you're a senior, that starts in October. If you're a freshman, you are screwed. You're going to have early classes, and that'll be December. But so when they start to enroll in October, when they go to pick sections, if that faculty member has opted in to have a required eText fee, it is noted on that section. Just like if a chemistry course has a materials and consumable fee, like a lab fee of some sort, it's there. We do manage these as like a course fee, but we've called it an eText fee. That is what shows up on the Bursar billing statement. That we handle the mechanics is there is one big bucket where all the eText money flows from all the campuses that have an eText fee, and then we pay the contracts back out to our publisher friends and to our platform provider. So that's how we work the logistics of that. So we were in a rush in September because enrollment started in October. And within that about 4-week window, we still netted 130 faculty members who opted in, said, we'll go for it. In January, those students, when they logged into our Sakai instance, their digital books were there. They can go grab them, bring them down to their local device. You know, the appropriate level of lightweight DRM is there. It lets them work on an airplane. When they connect back, their annotations sync up with their classmates or the professor. 5,300 students. And I am just as nervous as I can be because it is so silent. I'm just worried at this moment in that we've just not had, I mean, 5,300 students across 8 campuses. You just expect something to go bump in the night. No bumps yet, and we're already in exams. We have had just a fraction of students who chose to go ahead and buy the physical book too. We got like a, I don't know, $25 fee or so if you want a print-on-demand version shipped to you. In our pilot, not many students took. They said it's very important. They would fight for it in a debate, but then when you behaviorally give them the option, not many students are actually doing it. They do have the ability to print sections themselves. But we went and did our own survey. If you found the very best price for every book that was in our deal across that 130 sections, if the students succeeded in Amazon sometimes, one of the bookstore sites one time, other online vendors sometimes, we won 96% of the time. And I can explain the other 4%, and we're going to fix that. On average, across those 5,300 students, if they had all succeeded in finding the best price on every one of those offers, we can clearly document $100,000 in savings to the students. And our deals allow ongoing access to the content as long as they're a student at IU. So if they want a hard copy, they can print a hard copy or buy one to take. But as a faculty member, I like knowing that my students still have access to the books of the courses that were prerequisites before they got to my course. So our keys for rolling this out: talk, talk, talk. Socialize, socialize, socialize. The record shows our faculty councils can be deliberative about some of these matters. We have had a great tailwind with the faculty council on each of our campuses. And, you know, Nick and I were kind of happy that we had 130 faculty opt in that 4-week window before enrollment started. I reported to the trustees, and they're like, Brad, is that all you got? Is that all you got now? And so our trustees are like, go, go, go on doing this. One of the other things that was very important early on is we defanged this debate of print and digital. It's digital and print. That was really important. I just kind of put that off to the side. In the discussions, though, I will say, you know, this is a business negotiation. It's got to be an advantageous deal to the students. Our student government leaders the 3 groups running for student government elections in Bloomington a year ago, February, all had eTexts in their platform. So that tells you that we had a good tailwind with the students, and you got to have a good annotation platform. It can't be flat text. It's got to be some good stuff. So when I speak to our community as a whole, we did an EDUCAUSE Live webinar a couple weeks ago and others. I think one of the key things is this is a whole market, this path to digital. Publishers are figuring out how to win. Authors are figuring out, do I want to go write an iPad app through iBooks and, you know, take my publisher out? A lot of them, when they read the fine print, they go, maybe not. Students are trying to figure out how to win legally. You know, I've already been through that with the RIAA and the MPAA and the annual fight with Congress where they wanted to make the universities the deputies and get into all this crazy enforcement stuff that was just a huge waste of time when it was their business model that was broken in those industries. And now that's largely been corrected. So don't sign a weak deal. Talk with everyone. Get involved with the EDUCAUSE constituent group, the listserv, and let's work on the sustainable models for where we go. There's the numbers on the MBA core, just for comparison. Last year to this year, even if our students got everything digital, reading on any device they wanted, all the annotation tools and the simulations, and they wanted a physical hard copy of the 1,200 pages that are the first semester core of the MBA, they still saved $180. So I got the MBA students saying, go, go, go. I think we've got about 5 minutes, so I'm happy to take any other questions. I will add, in a very hurried deal, that the idea only emerged on November 1st. Internet 2 helped set up some contracting relationships. McGraw jumped in as an early pilot participant. Courseload jumped in. The University of Virginia, Cornell, Berkeley, Wisconsin, and Minnesota jumped in with a small number of sections trial deal that they are running concurrently with this model right now as well. So that'll give us some more institutions out there. And on our website, the eTexts website, we do have a faculty-led, IRB-approved study of the behavior and the perceptions of students across those 5 semesters. So you're welcome to go and grab that. That gave us a lot of information as we go. We got just a couple of minutes, I think. I'm happy to answer a question.
Are you considered offering faculty an incentive to move into the program?
We incentivize our faculty to do lots of things over time. We have not made any incentives right now. This is all just kind of natural flow of these things. If we really get into the incentive game harder in this, it would probably be around helping to build some models where we have faculty who have written their own course materials, like a group of them for an intro speech class or something. And right now we are needing to use publisher and such and go out, and then we end up having to buy all that stuff back. It's possible we might edit that stuff ourselves and pump it out through this platform, and we pay the faculty through some arrangement. We're not quite there yet, but we're thinking about it. In the back, just speak loudly, please. Our legislature pays lots of attention to the cost of attendance in the state. Lots of attention. Did I say that? Lots of attention. And so we did have to take the point of, is this going to look like we're raising the cost of attendance? Because there was this fee, and now, I mean, tuition and fees. Now we've added another little one on top. You know, what are you doing here? But we've already had the conversation that, no, if you really looked at what it cost students to attend by the time they bought their books, we're taking it down. And thus far, we have prevailed in that logic. Yes?
You have various fees for various courses and sections within courses?
They do, and this is by section. So it's instructor level decision making attached to a section. And they may say, I've got 3 books, I've got 1, I have this online exercise that I want to license, and it does vary. And so it is tied to the price of the content in the contracts that we negotiated with each of the providers.
How do you share that with the students, clearly, I guess? If I take this section, it's this much additional cost. If I take this one, it's this much.
When they enroll that, when they look at the, the 8 a.m. section of speech, it will say this text has a mandatory eText fee of $34.12. So that's how they know it at the time of enrollment.
Another section of the same course might be $55.
If they chose the different materials from different publishers, that's correct. Just one more and then I'll wrap it up. There is no app. No app. You log into our learning management system, Sakai. You click on the book part. It's HTML5. It comes down. Your authentication passes through, and so it's device independent. It knows where you are at. You can, like if you're on an iPhone, that big beautiful page I showed you is not going to look so great. But what you can do is you can scale and look at one column at a time. So you can sit there on a Droid or an iPhone and flip through a column at a time while you're slogging around on the bus, moving around. Thank you. We have some more time this afternoon. Great gathering. Thank you to the organizers for getting us together.